And welcome to another SEO tutorial. This is a follow-up to where we talked about Google's change to its search algorithm and how Google Analytics could help us to see how it might have affected our website. So this is going to be a little more broader brush look at Google Analytics, so let's jump right into it. Okay, so I apologize for the blurring. Some of this is going to be to protect privacy, but to just get into, I'll put a link in the description below for how to get to googleanalytics.com, and you'll usually come here on the home page when you get in. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Audience and Overview. Now we're going to talk about a couple concepts that doesn't matter what page you're on. These are just core concepts, if you will, a beginner step, and that is here. See, this is in the upper right, the dates, and this is the dates of what the website analytics were for this time range. Now, that's very important. If you click on this drop down, see it opens up and allows us to select a beginning and a closing date. And also allows us to pick ranges like week, month, last 30 days, last 7 days, or custom. So if we're inside a custom course, that gives us the most ability to have what we want. So maybe we want these dates. We click on the first one, we can set the beginning date. Click on the second one, gives us the second date. All right, then the only thing we have to do is click apply, and that'll tell us that date range, what the analytics were for the website. Okay. You can also do a compare to if you want. If you turn this on with the check mark on, you can then click from the same thing, right? Previous period. So if you pick a month, it's going to give you the month before. So if you pick up here a given section for maybe just 10 days, and you say previous year, it'll give you the 10 days from the previous year. All right, so with your own industry and your own website and your own way you build things, that may or may not make sense to you, but we'll leave it the simplest right now, and we'll turn off the compare to, and we'll just go ahead and put the custom in for like the 1st to the 16th, and that's fine. You have to click apply. All right. Once you do, that'll go ahead and set that date range, August 1, August 16th. Right. So that might be helpful because maybe you're trying to take a look at the analytics of your website because someone ran a pay-per-click or a pay-per-view or whatever the case is. They ran that campaign, and you're trying to look on your website and say, okay, did that really bring anybody to my website? Was it worth it to run that campaign? And it may not even be a paid campaign. Maybe it's something you're doing on one of the social medias where you're just really pushing hard, and you see a lot of users that clicked on that, maybe a Facebook post, Instagram, whatever, YouTube, and you want to see, okay, does my website numbers match up to what my social media numbers say when I got a click? So again, you're gonna have to kind of figure out what works for you. So while we're in this upper right hand corner, we also see this export, and that allows you to export whatever you have selected. And it comes down in either an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV, or I think you can even get it down into some of the Google Docs type of stuff. Okay, so that is the date range and the ability to export it. Okay, those two are going to be helpful in most cases. All right, so let's walk through what are some of the most common things. So when we work with a business, whether we're going with them weekly, monthly, or even quarterly, and we'll go look at the analytics, and if the owners or the managers want to take a look at this, this is usually where we start. We always stay at really a high level, digging down into the deep weeds of all this, maybe much more for the SEO companies, marketing, advertisers, that type of thing, so they can see what their numbers are. But for the owner, really, they're usually running their business, and they don't want to learn all the new things about analytics. And Google changes this. They will move stuff. They will merge it. You can see right here some beta stuff even now. So Google's going to change stuff, and it can really frustrate you. So stay with the basics. You'll get the most out of this. So again, if we click on from the left-hand view, right, we click on Audience drop down. If we see the overview, that's going to give us some good information. Right, and you probably want to do this on your whatever your regular basis is. Right, users tells you, and how many new users. We're not going to go into all the details of it, but what I want to show you is, again, Audience, Overview, and then come over here to where it says City. This can be helpful if you have built a new page on your website that maybe targets a specific city that's right next door to you. so you can see how you're doing with that. So we'll go ahead and click on it. So city, right, in this case, we have the fact that it's Washington, D.C. Not set is another one of those kind of tough things. Google Analytics can't really show us everything that we want to know. If people set their privacy settings in a way that Google can't see them, or the way that a person comes to the site, it can be really hard for Google. So they do, at least honestly, have a section for not set. And we're going to talk about this even greater in a little bit. But again, this gives you an idea of how many users came from a specific city. So if you're targeting your core city, of course, is probably always going to be your highest, but not necessarily. And then you start to get some others where you serve other towns that are close to you. Okay, so from this, we're going to take one more step of detail, and that is view full report. Because you might think that this is it, but that's deceiving, because really, when we click this view report, remember, this showed us the top 10. We're going to click on view full report here in the bottom right. When we do, it's going to take a second to load, and scroll down. Again, that can be deceiving. Scroll down, and here's another core understanding that you have to have, is that we need to look in the bottom right almost every page and see how much of the information are we getting. So what we're seeing is only 1 through 10 of 103 locations. Right? So if we don't understand that core concept of looking in the bottom right, we're going to miss a lot of data. Okay, so if we just real quick, make sure that you have the date set. Once you have your date set, then whatever page you're on, the date will stay the same. But you need to come to the bottom here and take a look at this. Now, a nice thing that Google allows is this drop down. Right now it's only displaying rows of 10, but we know we got 103. So if we click this drop down, we could pick 100. Right? That would give us all but the last 3. So maybe that's what you want. Right, now we can see all these different towns, again, and the user, how many users and how many new users, and we could go through all this, but we're not going to. Like I said, we're going to try and keep this quick. And if you want to learn what they are, the nice thing, Google allows you to put your mouse over it, the question mark, and it tells you about this thing. Now, I'm not going to say that it's perfect. It does kind of get to be like the tax code, where you decide you're going to read this and you say, oh, gee, I really don't understand, learn more, and it opens up more pages. I'm going to leave that to you, but it is there to be able to learn. If you have a good SEO company, marketing, advertising company, they should be able to walk you through it and kind of tell you. Not only that, again, keep this on a high level. You may just want to track, okay, what are my users, my new users, and maybe for them, what's the bounce rate? We can go into all that, but we're going to keep it simple. Okay. So we've got all these different towns, and that can really be helpful. Okay. So it tells you, if you compare that to, say, last year or whatever, especially if you say, okay, we're in this town, but I want to build some web content, whether that's on the website first and then attach it to some social media, or an advertising campaign, or social media, it may be a YouTube thing where you go ahead and put up some videos and it's targeting a specific city you want to see. Are your efforts worth your time? So you come into Google Analytics, again, go to Audience, Overview, and once you get in there, again, we clicked on City, but you can get there by going to the Geo and Location. So you can get there several different ways. All right. Again, we have City clicked on here. All right. So that'll give you some good numbers. Right. That's an important one. Audience, and then drill down to City. Okay. So let's go take a look at the next thing. If instead of audience, if we look at acquisition, we'll click that. It'll bring us a drop down. Always start with the overview. That's a good idea, especially if you're brand new to it. Again, is your date correct? Yeah, it's going to stay the same, but is it correct for what you're trying to look at? It's really important. You'll get the wrong information if you're looking in the wrong date range. Okay, so this overview can be okay. It'll tell you real quick. Organic, and organic is when you look inside of Google in the first 10 organic results, not the ads, not the map, but the 10 results that are organic. That's what it's showing, organic. All right, so direct, and direct, again, you can get into a big argument. Is direct really just for those who typed your website in directly? And I think we can prove that the answer to that is no. It actually could be a lot of other things. And that's as much as I'm going to go into it now. If you really want, you can put a comment in the comments below, or send a message through the website over at BTFOOM.com, and you can request a tutorial, and I'll go into anything that we can possibly cover. All right. So we're inside of acquisition overview. Right? Doesn't tell us a whole lot. So let's drill down a little more. And again, we're going to keep this simple. So we're going to go down to look for the source. Next thing we're going to click is the drop down on all traffic. And we're going to come down to this for source medium. When we click on that tab, we'll find that it'll take a second to load. Again, remember your date, make sure that's right, make sure it's what you want. And again, come to the bottom. We're only seeing 1 through 10 out of 11. So we're missing one. So it's important. We'll go ahead and select the higher one, and we'll get that 11th one in there. Now in your case, right, it may be that there were hundreds in there. So it's very important, again, to go ahead and take a look at this. All right. So if, let's say, we could take a look at any of these and say source medium, what does that tell us? Well, this is that the source site was Google, and then it was its organic ranking. Give you an idea of the difference. Right here is mobile, Facebook, and it's just a referral. Again, it's a whole different thing. We could go into that, but it's about linking and how Facebook did a smart thing to get out of the direct none. They made a linking factor, so that's a different thing. Being against Facebook referral. So if you are doing something which is a paid and not organic, it will say something like CPC for cost per click, or cost per click campaign, right? And everybody has their different names for the acronyms depending on which company it's from, right? Another one may be like Yelp. Some companies will say, is it worth my time to go ahead and buy advertising on Yelp? Well, for some it is, for some it's not. Again, you can always contact us and we'll give you some of the information for what we have on different industries, the different verticals. But let's say that you had a Yelp campaign. You were running it and you were paying a lot of money for a Yelp campaign. Well, one way to check on that, what all came to your website from Yelp in a paid way versus a referral or an organic, you will see that this says Yelp, and Yelp has, I think, about 4 different ways of showing they're paid, but you'll be able to see that. All right, and that's starting to get way down deep into the weeds. But this is a way that you can go in and say, okay, where did the person come from? So did my money work for me? Did we do the right thing in running an ad? And we see that, okay, in this given, again, date range, and whatever your date range is for running your campaign, did you get the number of users, a number of new users that you wanted to get because you ran a paid campaign? This is a way to double check, right? Trust but verify type of thing. Again, that's acquisition, all traffic, source, and medium. Right, now you can go another step if you want, and you can add another dimension. This starts to get a little more confusing, right? But you can add a second one. We'll just throw one in here real quick. See what might be helpful to you. A landing page. Okay. So what a landing page is it says, what's the first page that this user landed on? So it's kind of like a filter where we said, okay, we know that the date range is a filter. We'll come down here again and we'll check. Oh, see here we got caught. 1 through 25 of 88. If we want to see more, we need to expand this to 100. Because once we split it by adding landing page, we got more rows that were there. All right, so what this says is from this source or medium, meaning Google organic search, the home page, which is what this just is / is, the home page, there were 109 users and 99 of those were new users. Again, you can get into an argument about how well can Google track whether someone is really a user or a new user. Not going to get into that argument. If you want to know, make a request and I'll try and go down that rabbit hole, but we'll stay basic. All right, so again, this again says, okay, Google organic, but it's split it again because some of them went ahead and landed on this Cape St. Clair page. Some of them came to the gutters page, right? So this might be a good way for you not only to take a look at the source medium to see if you had a paid campaign, which again, this would say CPC, or it'll have something else, which is pretty sure to tell you that it's a paid thing. It's too detailed to try and go into that to catch every instance. So from a high level, source medium, landing page, you can see what pages are people first coming to. Some people went right to reviews, and that's pretty telling, and that's another conversation. But again, it splits some of these out into different towns. All right. So this actually leads us to the next thing. Instead of acquisition, it takes us into behavior. What are people doing when they come to our site? So that was, again, acquisition, all traffic, source medium. We checked our date, and we checked our rows. Well, we got a ton of them there. Okay. All right. So if instead of this, we'll close this up by clicking this arrow. Now we're going to go to behavior. When we click on this as a drop down, we're going to go from behavior, and we're going to go look for the landing pages. We're going to look for all of them. We'll start with the overview. Right here, it'll go ahead and tell us, and it'll show us the average pages. And again, don't be fooled. You need to go to the full report if you want to see them all. Okay. Now this breaks out all the pages, and again, always look at the bottom. We've got 82. It's only showing 1 through 10. So open that up. Since we've got 82, we need to include at least 100. Now we can see all our pages. So this says how many people went to the contact page. Okay, there are 45 views, but there were only 38 that were unique. So somebody went there, went somewhere else, came back, and then used our contact page. Well, that's pretty cool, right? Contact page is important because we know that's where people are just about to make that contact for sale. So that's a good thing. Okay, and you can change the order of these by clicking on them, and you'll get it to change its organization of it. So if you click it once, it shows that it's going from highest to lowest. Click on it again, and it goes from lowest to highest. Again, you can do this on most all of these. Right? So if you want to sort on page views, right, then the default is from the highest to lowest, which makes sense. Okay, so if you want to just come to behavior and come right down to landing pages to be that the only thing you see, click on landing pages. Give it a second, it'll load. Again, scroll to the bottom. See, we've got 10 of 65. Set this, since it's 65, we'll click 100. Okay. So now we're on landing pages. This is where someone entered the site. So a lot of people came on from this siding. Gutters next, right? On and on and on goes and looked at different towns. Now you start to see how building a town page works with the analytics, and we can see which city people came from when we looked before at audience. Right, so all these things kind of dovetail together. Now, this may be a good thing from your company standpoint. If you look at landing page, say, okay, how are people seeing us? Where are they coming from to be the first page they land on? Right, maybe you want to change this by making new links on other external sites so that you drive people in a different way. This will also help you if you're running a pay-per-click campaign where you say, we can tell if we made a brand new landing page and that landing page only comes in from one of the ads, well, then we know, okay, that Facebook campaign is working or the AdWords campaign is working. Okay, we know that's working because that's the landing page. That's how they got to it, was from that ad. So might be a great thing for you. Again, if you're going to do that comparison, as always, make sure that your dates fit with when you are running the campaign so that you get the full information. You can change these graphs as well. There are tons of other things that you can do with Google Analytics, but from a business owner standpoint, I think that's probably even too much information now, but going over that audience all the way down to the city level, right? Audience, overview, come down to city, boom, it takes us there. Then go to your full report. Okay. As a recap, then if we go to acquisition, all traffic, source medium, right? And then again, we could open this up, right, so that we get the last one. But we can check out, where did people come from? If we're running a campaign, did it work? Somebody ran a great Facebook campaign. Let's see how many clicks we got to the website from that Facebook campaign. All right, and then the last one, just to recap, if we go to behavior, then we go to site content, and we go to landing pages. That'll give us where did someone enter the site. Again, open it up. All right, I hope this helped in just a quick way that you can look on a regular basis at your Google Analytics and say, are we getting what we want? Whether that's from looking at a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or even every half year, take a look at your analytics. It may help you to say, where do I want to build new pages? Or do I want to get into a new city? What do I need to do? How are people acting on my site? What's their behavior? So that I can either change it or change ourselves because someone is looking for something that we didn't think they were looking for, right? It's a great way to kind of look at what's the public doing on your site. I hope this helps in an introduction to Google Analytics. If you have any more questions, you can always come over to BTFOOM.com and contact us. Ask us any questions or make any requests. If you'd like us to go through your analytics with you, kind of answer some questions because this is overwhelming, we're more than welcome to help with that. You can also put a comment in the comments below this video. Thanks, and I hope this helped. If you need any more help, come on over to BTFOOM.com to the contact page. Get in touch with us. You can get set up for more in-depth, real member videos to get you up to date and informed on everything that you need to do in the SEO world to help your business ranking. You can also ask about common tasks that we provide. Thanks, and I hope this helps.